Very cool. Oh, Metropolitan. Very nice. Ooh, very nice. All of them. Love these Fanos. These are great. We used to have one of those at Reverb. What happened to that guitar? We gotta find that again. Triple pickup SG. That was this is when I was maybe in 8th grade. That was the one I always wanted right there. I still do, but okay, here it is. Here's the one. This is the one that we were looking for, because there's a very awesome story about this guitar. First of all, this is a 1962 Jazzmaster, highly coveted guitar, refin, black. This guitar is amazing, but this guitar in particular was found somewhere in an abandoned barn in Wisconsin at the bottom of a pile. There's a pile of guitars, and this was on the bottom in an old rotted out case. So next time you go by an abandoned barn on the highway, stop. There might be a 62 Jazzmaster. Okay, 1962 Jazzmaster. So much to say about this instrument, such an influential piece of gear. Fender comes out with the Jazzmaster in 1958, trying to reach the jazzers, trying to compete on the jazz market, and they create this solid body offset design, ironically made for comfortable jazz seated playing. Interesting tone circuitry with rhythm and lead tones to get a wider array of tones, even trying to compete with the jazz box, the archtop kind of tones that other makers were creating at the time. These pickups, often confused with P90s, but these are Jazzmaster pickups. These were originally prototyped from the pedal steel pickups, and this was an attempt to really achieve those warm jazz archtop kind of tones. But with this really interesting wide array of tone circuitry, with the flick of a switch, you can get more trebly tones. Fender probably understood they still have one foot in the country market as well. So being able to create this guitar that could achieve these jazz tones, but also had this really interesting circuit where you could get these biting tones and these more trebly kind of tones that we don't associate with jazz, this became just a monster of a guitar. This is a massively influential guitar. So, something very interesting happens. Fender creates this guitar for the jazzers, and the jazzers do not go for it. They've got their arch tops, they got the tones they want. Meanwhile, simultaneously, the kids, the rock and rollers, they don't want the arch tops, they don't want the guitars of the 30s and 40s. So they go for the new, fresh look. Now, it's interesting to think about in this day and age when we have options out the door. We have so many options of different styles of guitars. But thinking about 1958, you have basically a couple of options. And then this one comes along. And it's just an alternative. It's a different option, it's a different look, it's a different sound, and a fresh look altogether. So of course the kids are going to be like, that's rock and roll, that's rebellious, and so they flock to it. So that's the 1962 Jazzmaster. I feel privileged to be sitting here playing one for you. And to this day, it is one of the most iterated and copied and reissued guitars on the market, and for good reason. And it's all based on this very model right here. Something else in 1962 happened for Fender. They introduced the cousin to the Jazzmaster, the Jaguar. At the time, the most expensive solid body guitar on the market, and certainly the bougiest and the coolest in a lot of ways too. Let's check one out. A bit heavier than the Jazzmaster, this Jaguar is. Wow. Look at this. Look at that buckle wear on the back there. Those look like some fashionable belt buckles worn through the years. So, this is a 1965 Jaguar. The first year of the Jaguar was 1962. So, 1962. The Jazzmaster has been on the market for a good 3 years or so, and Fender realizes that it's not being played by the jazzers, like we talked about. It's being played in rock and roll, it's being played in country, Western swing. And so Fender decides to take some of these ideas, like the offset design, and make a new guitar, and that's kind of like marketed as a hot rod, like a hot rod car. Instead of a Mustang, it's a Jaguar. The hot rod aesthetic going on here, a lot of chrome on the pick guard. These pickups, very, very trebly, meant to bite, meant to really cut through. They realized a lot of these players that were playing the Jazzmaster were really only using the treble pickup. It's currently in 1965 tuning, which is like right in between E and E flat. You know those old records where it's like, why does it sound like it's in between E and E flat? Because that's what you call 1965 tuning. The Yardbirds, you know, all those records. Let's talk about this specific guitar in my hands. I mean, like, this feels amazing. You can feel that, right? You can feel that? So, like, the finish here, you can see there's been no refinish. This is all originally sunburst and faded into this yellow, you know, just, it looks like it was just beat on by the sun. All these marks, all of these, you know, I mean, we talk about this all the time, but vintage guitars and the stories behind all these markings, it just makes you think, and it makes you feel a certain thing. And the spirit of these guitars is just like, it's just really, you can feel that. All the lacquer worn off of the neck here, creating this smooth feeling neck. Yeah, it's just really something. I think I'll have it. The Jazzmaster and the Jaguar, two amazing, influential instruments, but as quickly as they came into fashion, they went out of fashion. All of a sudden, nobody gave a surf and splash about these guitars. But by the 80s, after a couple decades of being cheap as chips, they were found in pawn shops as affordable alternatives. They were affordable guitars for young punk rock and grunge rockers, and because of Jazzmaster, Kurt Cobain, a few other of our most beloved heroes, they became, once again, the most expensive guitars on the market. Today, they are some of the most expensive guitars you can find, also some of the most durable and amazing guitars with such rich history and just amazing aesthetics all around. You pick up an old Jazzmaster, an old Jag, you feel that spirit. You pick up one of the reissues, you feel an amazing spirit, an amazing inspiration for your own expression. You can find them on Reverb, of course. You can find them here at Rock and Roll Vintage. We thank you guys for letting us come in here and play these awesome instruments. We'll see you next time.